The list of benefits of Noni almost appears endless. Dr. Solomon, you've certainly presented us with an impressive body of research today, and we appreciate you taking your time to share your findings. Again, your book suggests 29 specific uses for Noni juice. Which of your findings do you personally find the most amazing or most interesting?
I've truthfully found them all amazing. I couldn't believe one after another it helped. And you go back to how can it help? Well, if you put it all together, 7,879 people who took Noni 2 ounces a day, 80% of them said it improved their well-being. They weren't looking for it. They just said it improved my well-being. And I'd say you have to take Tahitian Noni juice for at least 6 months till you give up on it, if you're going to give up on it. And if you take it for 6 months, you probably won't give up on it because you'll probably get a good effect. And I think that the adaptogens tie it all together, and I think zeronine is probably the most important of the adaptogens.
Dr. Solomon, I think all of us could give a hurrah on that. For disclosure purposes, I understand that you are not now, nor ever have been, a Noni distributor, an employee of Tahitian Noni International, had any ownership in Tahitian Noni International, or profited from the sales of Tahitian Noni juice. You are a third-party researcher, author, consultant, and lecturer to different international corporations, and as well you do pro bono work for NGOs of the United Nations. Dr. Solomon, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Yes. I wonder, why do I do it then? If I don't profit from it, why would you do it?
Right.
You know why? I believe in Tahitian Noni juice. That's really it in a nutshell.
Dr. Solomon, if you found a better Noni product than Tahitian Noni juice, would you tell the world about it?
Absolutely. But I haven't, because how can you improve on God's gift to man?
So in conclusion, can you briefly summarize your findings and tell us where you might place Noni juice among all the health and wellness products available to the consumer today?
Well, I personally traveled around the world, and my data represents information received from 1,235 health professionals who represent over 25,000 Tahitian Noni juice drinkers. They came from over 80 countries, and 78% of the people said that Tahitian Noni juice helped in some way, and 69% said they would not give it up. And I must add that I use it, my family uses it, we're going to continue to use it because it helps.
Dr. Solomon, this has truly been enlightening and refreshing, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you, the viewer, for your interest in health and in Noni juice, relatively unknown outside of the South Pacific until just a few years ago. It's said that today, someone buys a bottle of Noni juice every 2 seconds. And with results like those Dr. Solomon has detailed today, it's easy to see why. Noni juice is one of the most significant developments in the health and wellness industry for the 21st century, for problems ranging from arthritis to diabetes to strokes and ulcers. It's ugly. It stinks, and to be honest with you, it doesn't taste that great. But to millions of satisfied consumers across the globe, there's nothing sweeter and more beautiful than a return to health they attribute to the amazing properties of Noni juice.
I have a surprise for you. In the last 2 seconds, I purchased a bottle of Noni, and I'm going to share it with you.
Okay. Thank you.
That's about an ounce.
Okay.
To our good health, happiness, and to all mankind.
Hear, hear.
Wasn't bad, was it, really?
Can I have some more?
Plotting the future of your health care. You can't see it, but it's happening behind closed doors. And not only is the future of the industry at stake, but so is the drug industry. And as you can imagine, they are going to great lengths to try to woo lawmakers to see their side of the argument. According to a new article out today in Time magazine, in the first 6 months of 2009, this is the first 6 months of this year, drug companies spent close to $110 million to influence the debate. Karen Tumulty is a senior writer for Time magazine. She joins us now. Karen, just how much cash is floating around out there on behalf strictly of the pharmaceutical industry, trying to influence what's going on behind closed doors on Capitol Hill?
Well, that $110 million breaks out down to $609,000 a day. The drug and biotech industry is spending more than any other segment of the healthcare industry to influence this debate, and they're getting a pretty good return on their investment.
Yeah, now in terms of how many people are out there roaming the halls of Capitol Hill, and in terms of lobbyists, what are the numbers?
Well, basically, it boils down to two for every single member of Congress. So this is also a pretty full employment industry as well.
And, you know, Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, Democrat of Missouri, said that he's never seen in 30 years of politics lobbyists so thick outside congressional offices, he says, it's even difficult to get to a vote. You've got to wade your way through the crowd out there. Is there anything to compare this to in the last 30 years?
No, certainly not that I've seen, and it's not just the lobbyists. The money goes into a lot of other things. It finances a lot of, so-called research, expert reports, consultant reports. A lot of do-good organizations are springing up with, names that sound like, quite beneficial organizations. But you look at them, and it turns out the whole things are being run by drug company money.
Now, prescription drugs haven't been a huge conversation in the overall debate over health care reform. Most of it has been leveled at the public option, whether or not abortions are covered, the so-called death panel debate. How much money is in this for the drug companies?
Fight has been over something called biologics, and these are, right now, they're only about 20% of the market, but they are, by 5 or 6 years from now, these biotech drugs, they're miracle drugs, are probably going to be something like half of all new drugs that get approved. And the big fight right now is whether there will ever be something like a generic equivalent for these drugs that can cost $20,000, $40,000, even $200,000 a year to administer. And, the Federal Trade Commission basically says they should get no protection at all beyond their patents. But both the House and the Senate key committees have voted to give them 12 years of protection beyond their patents. And this is something that is going to, make hundreds of billions of dollars a year for the industry. But that money is going to be coming out of the pockets of insurance companies and the patients who need these drugs.
So the principle that they're working on now is spend $1 today to try to save 10 years down the road?
That's right, but there's a real, there's a balancing act here, because you do want to have the financial incentives in place that encourage these companies to keep coming out with these blockbuster drugs. So they are saying that it's absolutely crucial that they have some sort of protection here so they can keep working. But again, the Federal Trade Commission has said that giving them too much protection could actually stifle innovation, because these guys are just basically going to sit on what they have and tinker with that rather than going out and finding new stuff that we all need.
And just so folks at home know what we're talking about in terms of these biologics, a couple of names you might recognize: Herceptin, which has been a miracle drug in terms of some forms of breast cancer; Remicade, which is a drug for rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, these are all very, very, very powerful drugs that work very well and certainly beneficial to society. And again, the argument is just how much protection do you give the drug companies who are coming out with these drugs. But overall, Karen, between the pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare industry, the doctors' lobby, how much money is being spent? How much money is being thrown around on Capitol Hill these days?
It's well into the hundreds of millions of dollars, and a lot of it is very difficult to trace because it is going not only into the campaign coffers of elected officials and the salaries of lobbyists, but also into organizations that are essentially front groups for these interests and for, scientific sounding consultant reports.
So with all that money floating around in Washington, who really has the influence here? The lobbyists or the voters?
That is a very good question, and right now on some of these key questions, you've got to say that the lobbyists are getting pretty much everything they're asking for. And considering how important it is to bring down healthcare costs in the long run, I think the rest of us are the losers.
Karen Tumley from Time Magazine. It's always great to talk to you. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thanks a lot.